Spherical Phil here with a special demonstration about the sphere. We've been told by our clients that the sphere delivers magic. Now, let me show you in almost real time how this can happen. There's an elite leadership team from a very large European high-tech company at an executive retreat yesterday and today in Europe using two sphere applications. Let me give you a sneak peek of what they are experiencing. Follow closely. So this is a custom sphere development project. This is a coach in Paris, France. He had heard about my work, read my book, and contacted me saying he wanted a sphere that had values, mindset, communicate, trust, conflict, and resilience as core sectors on this sphere. So each of these areas of leadership that he had worked to perfect his work on, we turned into sectors onto the sphere. And then after we had developed in sectors, we wrote questions to flush out each of them to get a very good, quick snapshot of how a person saw themselves as a leader. The client was very meticulous, very well read. Each sector that he had been working with, he had based on work from experts around the world, South Africa, Australia, throughout Europe, the United States, and into Canada. And he had these programs he'd been through. And then when he read my book, Being Spherical, he was introduced to the idea of tensegrity and the sphere as a visualization. So we built this application. Let me show you what it does. Now, this is what we call the aggregate sphere. This is the team's responses to the questions put together and averaged. And in this, we see strong support that they are an excellent team. In values, they rate themselves very high in the core values that the company needs. When it comes to resilience, they rate themselves as being a very resilient team. Mindset, they have an entrepreneurial mindset to succeed. There were a couple of things, though, that we did see that we wanted to ask a few questions about. Conflict, it doesn't look a lot lower at a glance from resilience, but there were some questions that came up that were somewhat similar to what we saw in communication and a unique little thing in trust. Now, we're going to look at the individual spheres next, and you'll see the differences between them, but there's really a question, and an important question. Are they really a 21st century leader, having the interpersonal skills to create collaboration that's needed in today's world, or are they leaning more towards an old model of command and control? Take a look, see what you think. I'm going to very quickly go through all 10 of the leaders' spheres, and you'll see the markups that we do. Now, normally it takes me 2 minutes, 3 minutes to review this with the individual so they can identify their strengths and their challenges. What you notice is everyone has very different patterns, very different strengths, and different connections within their areas where things may be an opportunity for growth. And we see some trends as a group in conflict, communication, trust, where they have some growth opportunities. So this is just a quick summary of each of the ones of their spheres that they're reviewing today in Europe. And now the coach has a map of how they see themselves, and within that he's able to spot some trends, which we saw as we looked at it ourselves in preparation. Conflict was an area they felt not as strong as they did in resilience and values and mindset. And we also saw a similar trend with communication, which certainly impacts their ability to deal with conflict, and this a little bit of confusion about trust. They didn't trust everyone didn't trust them. It was unclear. All of this could be seen in the sphere in just moments, and now is used to figure out what to do next. In preparation, once we identified these together, my coach and myself, or the coach, we were able to say, well, you should take the collaborative communication sphere, a sphere designed a number of years ago exactly for how well we work interpersonally in collaborative communication. Here, it was fascinating because when they took this sphere just last week, we found in the comm styles, the very first sector, they had this whole grouping that was in a very unusual response. These are supposed to be on the lower side to indicate you're very good at what's going on, that this is not a problem for you, you've got it managed. And in this case, though quite a number of these, they were above 50% said they give in instead of solve issues. They take over if they can't give in, they put pressure on people to do what they want them to do, and they compromise. All of these at well over 50% of the group. At about 40% of the group, they said they actually actively avoid any kind of conflict or they become defensive when they deal with it. And nearly a third said they will shift blame to someone else. They become spiteful. They complain to others about what's going on. They say they are actually ineffective in dealing with this. They withhold information and they leave issues unresolved. That gives them a wonderful idea of how they can become the truly great world-class leadership team they need to be in our really complex working environment. So we started with the leadership sphere as a group, and we found, even though it didn't look like a lot, conflict was clearly lower, and there were some issues in communication. It brought us to bring in the collaborative communication sphere. We found these issues as issues that they could deal with, and now, as we speak, the coach is working with them with their own, each one has their own individual sphere map of what they need to do to be the great leaders they need to be to make their company truly the success that they want it to be. To us, that's a form of magic from the sphere. Thank you.